Okay, the first place we were reading about is the Everglades. Have you ever seen an alligator? Would you like to meet a crocodile? You can live in a famous place called the
Everglades.
The Everglades are warm and wet. Lots of birds, snakes, crocodiles, and alligators live there. And people visit the Everglades to camp, to see wildlife, and to
Fish.
The Everglades are in the state of
Florida.
Florida is north and east of the Gulf of Mexico. Do we live north or south of the Everglades? If we start at the Everglades and we come up to us, do we live north or south? We live north. You have to go north or up to get to us from the Everglades. Good work, friends. Okay, my friends, I would like you to flip in your reading notes packet to page 5.
Page 5.
Now, this particular page, we have not marked Waverly yet. So really quickly, could somebody describe where we can find our location on this map? And think about those cardinal directions, how you can really get me to the exact spot. Keegan? Southeast. Are we in the southeast part of our state, or our country, I mean?
We're right in the middle.
We're right in the middle. Okay, so right in the middle looks about here. Is this our state here?
Yeah.
Perfect. So we found Nebraska. Now, where can I label our community in Nebraska? Did you find it? No? Keep searching your desk, girlie. Emerson.
Just on the edge of the border.
Ooh, it is very close to the edge of the border. Which border? North, east, south, or west? Thinking of that
East.
compass rose. Very good. So if you're thinking of your compass rose, I sometimes just sketch it on every map. North, east, south, west, and then I will always double check. Do my west and east say we. Yep, good to go. So we are on close to the east border, and I always look for that's Iowa and Missouri where those meet. And I come in just a smidge, and we're gonna mark that as Waverly. Should I zoom in for you guys? Here on Nebraska. Right about there. So right about straight from that intersection on our border, we're gonna put Waverly. How do we spell it? Real. Capital W. Very good. Now we just read about 2 locations, but what is the first location we read about today? The first location on a map that we read about today. River? The Everglades. Where are the Everglades located? In Florida. So if we need to travel from Waverly, what direction are we going to head to find Florida?
South.
We're going to go down and to the right. So using our cardinal directions, which way would we head, Braylon?
Southeast.
Southeast. So I'm going to go down and I'm going to go to the right to go east. And, oh, I found Florida. Do you guys see that dot there?
That's you.
We are going to label that dot as the Everglades. So capital E. And who can spell ever for me? Dax.
E-R.
Ever. That's the first part of Everglades. And then who thinks they could spell glades? Thinking about that bossy E rule. We've talked about that.
Blades.
Mr. Hendricks. G. Yep. Bingo. Ooh, way to go. He got the bossy E to make it say its name. It is one word, Everglades, so we don't need a capital G because it's all together. There's no space or anything. If you accidentally put a space, either erase it and fix it, or if you were using your highlighter, you can use this little symbol and you like put kind of like hug marks on the top and bottom, and it means like, oh, we should have smashed that together. So if you accidentally put a space, just add that little symbol, and it tells your, it's an editing mark that means like, okay, squish it together. It's really a compound word. Capiche? Now, since we have both locations labeled, who remembers my next step when I'm traveling and trying to figure out how far away this is on a map where I need to go? Addison, I want you to really keep pulling your folders out to try to keep searching for it, okay? Because it might have just gotten stuck in another folder. We were kind of rushing last time. Mr. Keegan.
We did our miles measures.
You are going to need your, instead of a miles measure, do you remember what we call it? Our map ruler. So you guys too, pull out your map rulers. That's that yellow ruler.
This?
Yep. Oh yeah, Dax and Madison. These were on your desk with your paper, so you're going to want to dig through and find it. Now everybody, you can use that to kind of help you guide it. But remember, we're going to draw a line connecting these two dots. So go ahead and draw your line. Try to make it nice and straight. It's not going to be perfect because we're not using a real hard-edged ruler. But you are going to get a line that connects those two locations. Now there is one sneaky thing we have to be careful of, because I know you guys are ready to use your rulers to measure. But if I line it up like this, am I right in saying that they're 1,000 miles away from each other? Is that right? That's kind of a puzzled penguin moment, huh? Who can tell me what I'm doing wrong for measuring this? Gunner? Oh, I have to line it up with a 0. So the 0 doesn't start until here on my map ruler. So that's where I have to start measuring from. So I line up that 0 with my Waverly. And then I'm measuring down to the Everglades. Who can tell me about how many miles is it from Waverly to the Everglades? Hendricks. 1,500. Or I think somebody I heard say it, you can also say that number as 1,500. But exactly, it is 1,500 miles. So, if you have your two locations labeled and the dots are connected, you may flip your packet.
Flip your packet. Flip your packet. Flip your packet.
And first, go ahead and fill out your community line. So this time we're going from Waverly to the Everglades. There are two places on page 4. What page?
4.
Page 4. I want you to fill in the name of your community lines. Both of those lines get Waverly. So go ahead and jot down Waverly twice on page 4. You with us, Miss Addison? We're on page 4, filling in the lines that say Waverly. Waverly, am I blocking your view, girly? I might end up having to move your desk just a hair so that you can actually, well, I'll just move for now. Waverly. And let's see who can fill in my first thing. It says, the distance from Waverly to the Everglades is about, how many miles? What happened here from Calvin? 1,500. Now it looks like this. It goes 1, 500. That's how we write that. 1,500 or 1,500 miles. We write it just like that. It was 1,500 miles. And then it says the direction from Waverly to the Everglades. If we started here at Waverly and we went that direction to the Everglades, what direction would we call that? If we went down and to the right, we traveled what direction? Miss Olivia. What direction is down on the map? South. And what direction is right on our map, Keegan?
East.
So we put those together and the direction we're going to label is
Southeast.
Let me show you guys how we write that. Because it is a compound word, actually. We're going to say south, S-O-U-T-H, and I'll give you a minute. South. And that compound word, Kevin, southeast. Are we going to put a space in this, friends?
Yes. No.
Nope. We're going to keep this one smashed together as a compound word. Southeast. So right after your H, keep going with an E, A, S, T. So when we're traveling from Waverly to the Everglades, we are going to travel southeast. Now, if you are finished with that, go ahead and start labeling that compass rose down before, and you can write all those directions down there, and I'm just going to walk around and make sure we're good. Online friends, I know you are good. Be ready for our next measuring activity for Mount Rushmore. Mount Rushmore. Look at the faces carved into this mountain. Do you know who they are? Does anybody know who these people are? Calvin? They're the presidents. Does anybody recognize this particular president? You guys can't see me pointing right now. Let me zoom out a bit. Does anybody recognize this particular president? Raylan? This is Abraham Lincoln. I bet you guys know this one too. Rylan? That's okay, phone a friend.
And one of the presidents that's on there is on one of the diamonds.
So Abraham Lincoln was our 16th president. This guy was our first president. Maddie, who's this guy? George Washington. This one's a little bit harder to see. Brielle? If any of you watched Hamilton when it came out on Disney Plus, you might recognize this president. Want to phone a friend? Ooh, this is FDR, the guy with the mustache and the glasses. That's Franklin D. Roosevelt. And then we've got this one. Mr. Keegan?
Some Thomason or Thomas guy.
Thomas Jefferson.
Jefferson, very good. Nice work, you guys. So, go ahead and listen. It says, this shows the faces of 4 famous United States presidents. The faces are 60 feet high. How many years did it take to carve them? 14 years. Those of you that have been there have probably read the story that they got started and their plan was actually to have like the whole president's bust, and so it was going to go all the way down here, and they were hoping to have him much bigger. They kind of ran out of money, and the guy who was working on the project, whose big idea it was, passed away, and it kind of fizzled out. So they were actually planned to be way bigger, but they're already 60 feet high. Isn't that crazy? Mount Rushmore is in the state of?
South Dakota.
Very good. South Dakota is west of the Mississippi River, because the Mississippi River is what runs, it's like our Nebraska border. So if we're looking like at Nebraska on a map, Nebraska looks kind of like this. We call this our panhandle, and then it kind of starts and it gets squiggly down to the corner, right? Well, the reason it's so squiggly is because that part of our border is formed by the Missouri River. And so that river,
No, Mississippi. It's the Missouri.
it's the Missouri, but, yes, sir.
Abraham Lincoln's block in Franklin D. Roosevelt.
It kind of is a little bit. Depends on the angle you look at it. But the rivers kind of form a lot of our borders, and that particular border cuts up, and then there's a state above us. Does anybody know what state is directly above us? Mr. Emerson?
South Dakota.
South Dakota, which is where you can find
Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore. So do we live, let's see, it says Mount Rushmore is east of the Rocky Mountains, because the Rocky Mountains are here. They run through Colorado here. Well, Colorado's actually like this, my bad. What direction are we? Are we east or west of the Rocky Mountains? Thinking of that compass rose. If we start at the mountains here, what direction do you have to go to get to us? River. Well, because they go so long, we're really looking more, are we west of the Rockies or are
West.
we east of the Rockies?
East.
We are east. The Rockies are west of us. So if you start with us, you have to go west to get there. But if you start with the Rocky Mountains, you have to go east to get to us. Very good, my friends. Okay, my friends. We are going to go ahead and map out our second location. Who remembers where we traveled to next? River. Mount Rushmore. So please turn to page 7. What page? Page 7. We're in like zombie mode. It's like it was a long weekend or something, huh? First challenge. See how you guys do with this. My first challenge to you is, can you label Waverly on your own? And I'm going to come around and check. Online friends, I'm going to have you take a picture of yours from page 7 to see how you do. But I want everybody to find Waverly, plot it with a dot, and write it. Make sure that it starts with a capital letter. Make sure it starts with a capital. I want to make sure everybody's got that on there. You can totally, I want to see some friends being smart and peeking back at other sheets to kind of make sure they have it in the right spot. Good, good, good. Capital W, A-V-E, R-L-Y. You have to create the dot for it, so the dot is going to be the ones that are on the map already, those are the other locations, but we've got to create our Waverly dot. That's the one sneaky thing. We want to see if you know how to find where our community goes. I think we should come up on that one. We're gonna pop this page now. Oh, look at that. Even my friends who have been gone. Great work, people. So just to double check, and this is for my online friends too, just to double check, really look at this one for me. Because we need to put our dot. Oh, I see. Your dot can be nice and fat, just like theirs. So when you find it, you're looking kind of where it makes that little sideways T, right? I'm going to zoom in. And Waverly's right here. So I plot it, and I label it. I made sure it started with what type of letter? Capital letter, very good. Waverly is the name of our community, so it's a proper noun. Who thinks they can find the South Dakota dot on my map? Come on up and point it out, Mr. Hendricks. Where's South Dakota on my map? I hung out with a friend from Minnesota this weekend, so I feel like I'm saying it funny. Yes, you are absolutely right. This is where Mount Rushmore is. Now, this whole state's South Dakota, but Mount Rushmore is actually in the southwest corner. So go ahead, and we're going to label it Mount Rushmore. Now, you may have noticed I usually just put MT. Have you guys seen that?
No.
That is the abbreviation for mountain. So instead of writing the word mount, it's not hard. It's M-O-U-N-T. It's only 5 letters. But we just put capital M-T period. It's kind of like how M-R-S period is an abbreviation for Mrs. and M-R is an abbreviation for Mr. But it makes it a little faster. So go ahead and put M-T. Are you with us, Mr.? Make sure you're on page 7, okay? So page 7, MT is the shortcut for Mount. Eli, are you with us? Okay. And then Rushmore starts with a capital R. Who could spell rush for me? Look at that first chunk. Keegan.
R-U-S-H.
R-U-S-H. Who can spell more for me? Savannah.
M-O-R.
M-O-R-E. Mount Rushmore. It's a compound word again. Just like that. We smash it all together. The compound words get to be smashed. Go ahead and draw your line from Waverly to Mount Rushmore. It doesn't matter which one you start with as long as you connect them with a fairly straight line. Has anybody tried to measure it already? Anybody? What'd you get, Skylar?
500.
Okay, let's see. Make sure you start with your 0 Now I will say some people probably like went like this, starting at Waverly and going up. It's trickier to see because it's upside down, right? Skylar's absolutely right. From the 0 on the dot to the next dot is about 500 miles. Now here's where we have to be very careful, and online people listen really close here. This is a big deal. You guys too. Hocus pocus.
Everybody focus.
They always ask us from our community to our new location. So if we're thinking about that compass rose, and I'm going to go ahead and sketch mine right here.
Northwest.
If we're thinking about our compass rose and we're starting with Waverly in the middle, what direction did I head to get to Mount Rushmore? Who can tell me? Starting at Waverly, what direction did I head thinking of our compass rose to get to Mount Rushmore? Rylan, go ahead.
North and west.
We went north and west, and so what we're going to call that is
Northwest.
northwest. Good. Go ahead and flip your page.
Flip your page, flip your page, flip your page.
From Mount Rushmore, kind of like it's a straight line.
It is. We're kind of in between Mount Rushmore and the Everglades, huh? Good observation, Eli. So when we flipped it, we were on page 6. Which one are we on?
Page 6.
So go ahead and fill in your community lines first. What community do we live in, friends?
Waverly.
Waverly, that's the easy part. We'll fill Waverly in twice. You guys are going to be absolute pros at writing Waverly by the end of this. This chapter gives us really good practice in writing our community name. Starting with a capital letter. Online friends, if you live in Eagle, you're welcome to put Eagle on there. Your dot would be essentially in the same place. Our distance from Waverly to Mount Rushmore was about how many miles? Who remembers? Skylar measured that one out for us. What do you think, Hadley? How far was it?
5 0 0.
It was about 500 miles. Very good. Not perfect, but pretty much. And what direction did we travel from Waverly to Mount Rushmore? We went this way. What direction was that, Hendrix? Northwest. And remember that is a compound word. Oh my goodness, not northwest. Hello, Mrs. Scholes. My coffee is not kicking in yet. Northwest. There we go. Good thing I was paying attention to my sounds as I was writing it out. Huh?
You can just do NW.
You know, you can, and we know that that means northwest, but I do want you guys, since you only have to write it one time, I want you to write the whole word northwest for this one, okay, Gunnar? So if you put NW, go ahead and next to it, just put like equals northwest, or like AKA northwest, or slash northwest. But I do want you guys to practice writing out the whole word. On your compass rose, you can totally just put NW. But we're going to write out northwest for our direction. Am I blocking your view, Rylan? Sorry. Online friends, that is the end of this activity. So as soon as you have this jotted down, you're good to go. If you need more time, pause the screen. You can see you can always rewind, go back and pause where you need it. But great work today, guys. We are done with social studies.